Hello, history scholars. Mrs. Olson here. This video lesson is designed to help you understand the geography of ancient Greece. So let's get started. First, I want us to remember that Greece is surrounded by water. Before we start studying this map, I actually want to go to this one here. And I am using the website from World Atlas. Now, if you like geography, you might like this website because this allows you to click on individual countries and then it gives you more information about that country. So first of all, this map is a map of Europe, the continent of Europe, and this is a modern map of Europe. You can see with all of these countries labeled here. Now, if we click on Greece, it'll actually bring us to two other maps. And one is a zoomed out version of Europe, and it points the arrow towards Greece, okay? Now, with our PowerPoint, we're saying that Greece is surrounded by water. So the reason why I wanted us to look at this map is because it shows us the entirety of the Mediterranean Sea. The Mediterranean Sea is rather large. This map is the same one that I am using on the PowerPoint. So, besides the Mediterranean Sea surrounding part of Greece, we have the Aegean Sea that is located to the right or to the east of Greece. And then we also have the Ionian Sea, which is located to the left or to the west of Greece. Okay? Now, with all of this water, we want to understand that Greece and the jobs in Greece, many of them have a connection to the sea, the ocean. Okay, and that brings us to this slide, and I'm telling you that many of the jobs in ancient Greece had to do with the sea, the Mediterranean, the Aegean. People had to transport themselves and goods on the seas, and they also had to get their food from the seas. So there were sailors, shipbuilders, traders, and fishermen. Now, building ships and being traders is going to be important for when we talk about how the ancient Greeks got their food. Okay, and also there were settlements along the coast of modern-day Turkey. So if we look at this map here, here is Turkey to the east, and so ancient Greece had settlements all along the coast of Turkey. Okay. Now, before we get into the note part of the land slide, no pun intended there, I'd like you to look at this picture and tell yourself or whoever's sitting next to you what it is that you see in this photograph. This is a photograph of Greece. So, mountains, hills, pretty high hills, ocean, right? So, because Greece is very mountainous, and let's look at this map here, okay? Now, they have shaded parts of Greece, and actually a large part of Greece, green. So, if we look at this key here, we see that these lighter colors are low hills, and then the darker green it becomes, the higher the mountains get. So, what part of Greece is covered by mountains? If you're saying the majority of it, you're right. So take a look at this. This should give you a pretty good idea of how many mountains were located on Greece. And if there are a lot of mountains, then how do you grow crops for food? Okay? So because of that, there were few natural resources, and without natural resources, it's not very easy to survive. Mountains specifically cover 80% of Greece. So if we're looking for a statistic, a number, 80% of the country of Greece is covered by mountains. Now, there are rivers that flow through Greece, but when we talk about ancient civilizations, like Mesopotamia, India, China, there were very large and long rivers that ran through those ancient civilizations, and Greece didn't have that. Okay, but one thing it did have was fertile soil. So where they were able to plant crops, it was good because the soil was fertile. All right, now before we get into the notes on raw materials, can you guess maybe what kind of raw materials that Greece had? Da 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 da. If you're saying rocks, you're right. So, what Greece had was actually an abundance, so a lot of limestone and marble. Can you think of what things are made out of limestone and marble? Well, they actually built beautiful antique buildings. And then right here I put impressive structures because a very famous structure that you might have seen in the movies or maybe in photographs is the Parthenon. So the Parthenon was built by the ancient Greeks, as was a few other structures that you may recognize from movies or books or other photographs. And as we learn about ancient Greece, we'll be able to see more of these impressive structures. All right, so judging by this picture, what kind of climate does Greece have? Doesn't that look like a really nice place to vacation? So, in the winter, because it's on the Mediterranean, and let's look at a map again, right? In the winter, they actually have pretty mild winters, not like we do here in the Northwest in the state of Washington. In summers, it actually gets pretty darn hot, and even though it's hot, they do have rain that falls from October to March. So this allows them to grow things like olives, grapes, and grain. Now, specifically in ancient Greece, they grew barley. Okay, and getting to the end of our PowerPoint lesson, we're going to talk about all of these islands that make up the country of Greece. Okay, specifically, there are more than 2,000 islands that make up the country of Greece, and only 170 of these islands are inhabited today. That means that only 170 of these islands have people who live on it. And this is an important one to really remember, in that this island of Crete, right here, was where the first Greek civilization grew up. So the first peoples that called themselves Greeks, or that we later called Greeks, actually started on the island of Crete, and they called themselves Minoans. And here we are ending with a picture, and this is actually taken from the island of Crete, so that you get an idea of what it looks like today. All right, guys, that is the end of our PowerPoint lesson on the geography of Greece. Hope you learned a little bit. Bye!